So about Cyberpunk, I thought I would just do this one to get my thoughts so far. Bear in mind, I haven't been that very far into the game, and I don't know what it is, but for some reason this game just feels like a slog to me. And that is while doing stuff that shouldn't be a slog, like side stuff. I think it's mostly because I've been burned out on open world games. Because I've been playing these since I was. Well, I've been playing games since the PlayStation 1. I've been playing open worlds since at least the PS2 with Jak and Daxter. So yeah, it's possible this is just me being burned out, because this happens eventually. The same thing with making vids. This is what I think actually happened to Chris Ray Gun in some respects. I think he just got burned out on doing these videos. It's kind of like if you see the history of a band, eventually you throw the dice enough times. Actually, Razorfist made a good analogy of this. You throw the dice enough times, eventually you roll up Snake Eyes. I think that's what happened to Black Sabbath with Tommy Iommi. And so that's my main gripe. Then the glitches. But the glitches I'm hoping will be mitigated over time and rectified. Because again, this is a pro. I think I mentioned this in my video about how CD Projekt Red nuked their credibility harder than Hiroshima. But they had the same problem with The Witcher 3 as I remember. Because I remember in that game, whenever I would decapitate someone, their body would go flying like I hit them with a baseball bat. And I had the strength of the Hulk for some reason. Well, in this one, the AI is just glitchy. It kind of messes with the immersion of the game. Jeremy Johns, who I was watching before I did this, he actually brought this up, and I have to agree. The AI does is a little clunky and messed up. The texture could use some work. But I haven't had the thing say yet that there was an upload problem where it just stops me and it takes me to that error screen. I've had nothing like that yet. Still a fun game. I'm enjoying the gunplay. I'm liking the feeling of the city. It does actually feel like I'm in this giant megatropolis, which is good because that's what I paid to feel like I'm in. It's kind of like how, like I know I yammer about the comic I'm working on the script for, but yeah, this is how I want the city in my comic to feel like, to look like. Only without the occasional Asian-looking parts of the city. I want mine just to look like constant neon signs on the upper levels. And lots of tall buildings and all that. That's what I want. And that's kind of the feeling I get when I go through Night City. I'm liking the guns that they let you use. So far my favorite is the pistol and the semi-auto. Then the shotgun. I really like that. And with whatever gripes I may have about this game, I will say this in its defense. It is not horrible, in my opinion, as some people might make it out to be, or maybe making it out to be. I still think it's a good game. I do think CD Projekt Red are a bunch of dicks for some of the stuff they pulled, but the game itself does not deserve to suffer for that. It sounds like some of the developers weren't okay with letting it out the way they did. So I can't really fault them either. It's mainly the higher-ups that are at fault here. And us, because we wanted it released early, because we kept bitching that they kept delaying it. I myself am guilty of this. I can admit I was wrong. But again, I have not gone that far in the game. I think my street cred is still at level 4 or lower. Because again, this thing feels like a slog to me for some reason. And maybe that's just me. Maybe it's not meant for me. Maybe it's something wrong with my head. But I'm still going to try to play it as best I can. Another thing to those complaining is, unless another Deus Ex is made, Cyberpunk is the closest we'll probably ever get to scratching that itch. Also, this also kind of itches my Prey 2 scratch, or the scratch left over by Prey 2's cancellation for me personally. And I'm still pissed off about that game being canceled. Screw Bethesda for that. That was a dick move on their part. Whatever Bethesda's done, or whatever CD Projekt Red has done, I still say Bethesda is the bigger dick in comparison, and not in a good way. They look better than CD Projekt Red does in my mind. That is still a wound for me that has constantly had salt pressured into it. Still waiting to find Johnny Silverhand. I am progressing in the story a little, but I keep getting sidelined by side jobs. But yeah, I do want to get want to see the interaction with Johnny Silverhand because people have been, like Mad Mike, I've heard him talking about how Keanu Reeves is awesome as that. I heard Deadwood Dale say he's not awesome as it. But then again, he also said Keanu Reeves is not a good actor, so I don't know what to think there. But yeah, they've said Keanu Reeves rocks it as Johnny Silverhand, who sounds like an interesting character. He really does. From what little I've heard of the character in Cyberpunk's lore. I say the same thing about the Nomads, which is the main background I'm going with so far. I do like also how each background you pick, either it's Nomad, I forget the second one is, but I think it's that one is you grew up in Haywood, and the third one is a corp guy. I love how each of these has their own little origin point. Kind of reminds me of Dragon Age Origins, where if you were a noble, it gave you like an origin story to how you ended up at, was it Asgard? Or the place where the Blight and the Ferelden army had their first fight. It kind of reminds me of that, but in a science fiction cyberpunk setting. I am also looking forward to getting my hands on a cyberpunk book, like an actual book from the old tabletop game, because I want to learn more about the lore and all the other stuff that goes with it. I just wanted to put down the set. I ordered one a couple days ago, I think the day after Christmas, so I should be getting it soon. And I think that's all I can really think to say. Other than, I like the characters they have in this game, like Jackie. He seems like an interesting guy. The guy they have playing him, I really like how he's playing that character. Gonna suck when what happens to him. I like the guy playing V. He comes off as, well, yeah, a guy who's just living the life of kind of a merc in a big city filled with other people like him. He was doing jobs. I also like that montage in the beginning where it shows him and Jackie's various adventures after he moves to Night City. And despite whatever you may hear negative about the game, the gameplay isn't completely bad. It's playable in my mind, which is more than I can say about other games like, well, actually no, most games I play are playable. I don't think, but this one I would say doesn't deserve the whole it's unplayable narrative. It is playable. It just has a lot of glitches, and I'm pretty sure CD Projekt Red will remedy those in the future. I'm hoping it's soon because this year's probably going to be full of patches. Lots of patches. More patches than The Witcher could ever hope to have in a wet dream. And that's really all I thought I would say on this. This one was kind of off the cuff, as are most of my videos. I just wanted to put this one up because despite whatever condemnation I may give CD Projekt Red, I don't think Cyberpunk deserves that crap. That crap. It doesn't deserve it. It deserves to be given some chance to show it's a good game, which I think it is. It has problems, and this may contradict what I said in my previous video on the subject, but I do think it is a good game. And it will be a better game after these patches come through, if they come through, assuming CD Projekt Red doesn't get lazy and decide, yeah, we're not fixing those, just going to deal with it. But if that doesn't happen and they do fix it, then I will say, okay, not all is forgiven, but they kind of earned back a little of my respect because they had the balls to go back and fix some of their mess. They still lost a huge chunk of my respect with some of the stuff they pulled, but that would be a start in the right direction. I'm still gonna be mad at them and slightly irritated because, as a young Ripper pointed out, if this had been any other company, people would have raked them over the coals. And I think that is a fair point. If this had been any other company than the Golden Boy, the CD Projekt Red, things would be different. People would probably not be defending it as much as they supposedly are, and from what little I've seen. And yeah, that's just all my thoughts on it. Let me know yours, especially if you have the game and are playing it currently. I would like to hear your thoughts. What kind of glitches have you experienced? My glitches so far have just been a plug in the front of the car, and the AI is running away frantically whenever I try to pull out. And I'm not even going anywhere near them. I just ran into some on the sidewalk, and they were nowhere near it. But yeah, those are just my thoughts. And again, especially if you have the game, please let me know yours. If you don't, have the game. What are you expecting of the game? Why have you not gotten it? Does it just not appeal to you? And yeah, have a nice day. Remember, the game was rigged from the start.